And when you are filled in a questionnaire, we will then you will find out who you are. You have come to a seminar as a psychologist. Psychologists are allowed to put people into boxes. Diagnostic tools is our specific area, and the questionnaire is a diagnostic tool for realizing who you are relevant for social interaction. So the first stage will be about filling in a questionnaire around it. The second stage will be some kind of group work. That's why we have been putting up kind of flip chart there. We will do the group work down there. And then the third stage will be about sharing in between the groups what I've been doing. And the fourth stage is then the questions, what can we learn from this kind of exercise? So that is the whole thing. It normally takes 60 hours. No. It's called minutes, isn't it? Yeah, 60 minutes. That's a more relevant. Yeah, it normally takes 60 minutes if I run it very fast, and I can do it with. Well, it's most easy to do it between a group like this with up to 25, 30 people, but when you run it with 300 people in the same room at the same time, it's an enjoyable experience with great joy, with lots of laughter and lots of humor, and it's so that's one of the things that is a game-changing point of view, that you can introduce a learning processes with 200, 300 people in the room at the same time in a fairly predictable way, in a way that people never forget around. Yeah. So that's part of the flexibility of this kind of tool around. Yeah. So. You have to be more rigid and pushing here. This is a technical thing that is okay. And then it comes.
Oh yeah.
It should be. Well, it did last time.
Yeah.
Well, they'll just turn it on. Yeah.
Okay.
So I normally say that it's called the Diversity Icebreaker because we use it as a startup when we get together. And the reason why we have been running this kind of seminar is that when you mix people together, coming from different kind of backgrounds, cultural background, kick-off of projects, involving everybody in the organization, and you want to create a situation where people can more easily talk together and share experiences. We say that when you shall work with people that are very different from yourself, which we call it the other in our field, yeah? The others. Yeah? So if I shall work with the others, I know from psychology that if I know myself better, I'm better off. And if I know something about the other, then I'm even better off. That's why we have been reading lots of stuff about these other kind of cultures, so you can get to know something about the other people in the cross-cultural area. But if I also know what the others think of me, then I have an added dimension for how I can organize my initiatives, meeting, approaching the other. So this tool is about how do I approach the other, knowing that the other knows something about me, what do I know about the other, and what do I know about myself. And the exercise is meant to give you some kind of learning around this kind of thing. Yeah. I'm not a fluent English speaker, sorry for the English and American, but for the French people, do I talk too fast? Please. Okay. And then when you're filling in the questionnaire, you can choose whether you want French or English one. I didn't bring an Arabic.
I'm not speaking Arabic.
You're not speaking Arabic. Okay. So if you want to choose an English one, do you take this one? There's a French one here. And I suggest that you take both of them, so because I will give you some material in both languages after some time. So take both of them, choose one of them to use. But when you are running the training group work, for me it'll be good if you write in English. And whether you talk in French or not, that you can decide, but at least write in English. It's much more easy for me. Yeah. And then you need some when you shall write, you need to have something under the one, yeah, because this is an indigo paper, so when you are writing, yeah. But you are not allowed to read in that book. You have something?
Yes.
Yeah, you have something. You have something, you have something, you have something. You don't?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah?
Better format.
You know that when you say you are not allowed to,
Yes, I know, then I'm teasing people to do it. Yeah. So, and I punish the hands.
because that's not a brilliant format for things.
I will punish with the hands when I see people are... but then
As bicultural, I'm wondering, do you think the results would be different if I did it in French or in English? Because I have the impression that depending on what language I speak, I change my personality or the way I see things.
yeah. So I remember Marioko Brannan, she's a bicultural person, and she said that, well, I'm brought up in Japan, but I'm an American background. I cannot quarrel and fight in Japanese language. It's impossible, she said. And that led her into a large work on bicultural studies. And for those people who have been working very thoroughly on questionnaires, they basically see that it doesn't seem that there comes up some major differences where you are filling in a questionnaire with the two different languages, even
I
though...
already did it in English, so I'm going to do it in French.
Yeah, I do it in French, yeah. So it's but that's a... People feel the experience from identity, but empirically it seems that most questionnaires gets up to the same kind of result anyhow. But I need to give you some information before starting. I see some people are very curious and some people looking for second page too. Second page is not relevant before you have been writing on the first page, because the second page, you can, when you fill in the first questionnaire, then you can open it up and then you will find out who you are. But then you have to fill in the first page first, okay? So that's why it's, yeah. So, you know, when you are at the psychologists, they, and they're using assessment and tests, etc. This is a very confidential thing, okay? So it's because you and the psychologist and all this kind of thing. And no one else to be seen. This kind of assessment we are doing here will be public shown. Not on YouTube or anything else. Yeah, not on YouTube, but for everyone in the room, Clive's score will be known. Okay? Yeah. So this is not a confidential thing. The result you will get here will be known for everybody in the room. But how else can you learn about working with other people if the people are hiding the scores of who they are? I promise you to learn something about that kind of difference, and my aim is to promote that kind of learning, and I cannot do that if people are hiding the results, that confidential thing, okay? So that's one thing, yeah? You're not from eastern part of England, is it?
Well, northern England, the Midlands, when you look at the map,
Yeah.
including Scotland.
Including Scotland, if you look upon that, yeah.
It's the north of England, but right in the middle of the British Isles.
Okay, yeah. So I normally say that when we were in York, we were testing. Yeah, yes. And then in York, they are eating fish and chips. Beautiful. And then in York, when we were putting a question to people, we were asking people, do you like to eat fish? Which we knew they did. Like read newspaper or go to a cinema. In this kind of format, we get very different unexpected results. In this format, we are asking people to have 6 points and share in between the different kind of statements. So one that is most favorable for you get more points, and one that is least, and then people most often think 3, 2, 1. But you are allowed to do 6, 0, 0 if you really hate so all kind of combinations. But in York, very many people were asking 2, 2, 2 on this kind of fish and chips cinema, reading newspaper, and we was a bit astonished by that. So we asked people, why is it so that you don't differentiate between these 3 different kind of activities that are so different? And then I said, well, you know, here in York, we have fish and chips wrapped into newspaper into the cinema. So everything is just one emotional experience. You cannot discriminate this kind of thing. So for them, this was one. So there we're scoring 2 around this kind of thing. I tell that kind of story, but I make sure that there was no one for York before telling the story.
I used the same in Derbyshire.
Yeah.
Wrapped in newspaper.
Wrapped in the newspaper. And it's only play where the newspaper's print smell is an added flavor for the fish. So you are also allowed to do that. You can any combination in that ends up in 6 aggregated is allowed around here. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And for those people who are very economy-oriented economists, they don't like to have lots of points. They can use figures. They can write figures, you know. So that doesn't change the system here. It may be also okay for the operational people. Yeah. Okay. So I see you are using a soft pen. Yeah. You have to use a hard pen. The hard pen because it's an indigo paper, so it goes through. I normally say that if you're not finished now, we know roughly who we are. But that's not true. Especially in cross-cultural context, there are some people who spend more time on the questionnaire, and some people who are filling in on second language and take more time. So the joke about those people who are very tedious, slowly, they are not the same in a cross-cultural context. And that's part of the challenge when you're working internationally. The people, you can't use your normal way of attributing qualities to people. But everybody, you finished too? Are you sure? Yes. Second page too?
Also confusing?
Yeah, I know. Yes, yeah. There is this is the hard work, you know.
Yeah.
So
I need to open.
you open it up like this one, and then you count how many scores you have on each kind of color.
Mini blue or maybe blue.
Yeah, yeah. So what we have been doing now is the first part of the whole kind of exercise, which is the psychological one, and the psychology one, when you're filling in a questionnaire, it's a tradition in that if you're playing on test psychology, you can do lots of empirical studies around this kind of, and then really find out what does this score mean. And I've been doing that for quite a lot of years. So it has been compared and correlated and validated with Myers-Briggs type indicator, Big Five in psychology, etc. But also in other kind of direction, we have some kind of small studies on cultural differences, etc. But also on cognitive side. So we have been elaborating. And parts of this kind of research is shown in 2 books that is lying there, so you can throw a light on some of the empirical work that's been done to validate this kind of questionnaire. But this is the time where we are leaving psychology. Because if you have been to a normal psychologist, and of course you haven't come to a normal psychologist, there is no normal psychologist from Norway who go to France and run seminars with Francois. This is not a normal behavior. So, and I'm not a normal psychologist either, because a normal psychologist will have given you an information about what does red, blue and green mean. Because if I ask people, are you happy with the score? Are you happy with the score?
I don't know what this score means.
Yeah, this is a very good answer, yeah? But this is a very sincere, decent answer. Very often when I ask men back home in Norway if they are happy with the scores at this stage, then they say, yes. And I ask, and if I ask a woman sitting nearby, are you happy with the score? Well, it depends on what does it mean, yeah? And then I assume that very many men, they think that everything that comes from their heart must be good. So they have a basic assumption that everything that they produce is something that is good. So they answer, yes, of course, I'm happy with the results. It's mine. So, but you were very decent saying that, well, I need to know first. Yeah, and we need to know what does red, blue and green mean. But we have a tradition at this stage to leave psychology and go into the area of sociology and linguistics. Realizing that the world is not governed by psychologists. You can't find the answer of the world's biggest questions by looking in psychological test literature. So we are bypassing psychology and finding out what is red, blue and green through a social process around it. And we normally do that by splitting this kind of group of people into 3 groups. And you are 13 people here in the room, so I would like to have 4, 4 and 5. most even. Huh? Even though if I'm working in a very process engineering oriented organization where half of the people are blue by heart, I make sure that we get 1/3 of each in the room. So it means that in an engineering organization, some of the blue people, they have to take on a role of being a red and green. Yeah. And we have tested out empirically and it works. So engineers are able to do something else too. Surprisingly, for some people, yeah, okay. So, and in order to split the kind of group, we have different ways of doing that kind. But we have accidentally, and I'm really meaning accidentally, started the whole kind of idea of taking out the green guys first, so we know who they are. So we are 12 people. Then I would like to have at least 4 green, 4 red, and 5 blue. I think that'd be good. Yeah. So if I ask, how many of you have been scoring more than 20 greens? Up with the hands, more than 20 greens. Oh, that's too many. That's too many. Yeah, this is like, yeah. Okay, so you get some idea what this kind of group of people are, you know. So I increased the level. 25 of greens or more. Who are 25 greens or more? Still too many. 28 greens or more. Still too many. 30 greens or more. 1, 2, 3, 4. You are the most greeny guys here. Can you please come up and stand here? Yeah. So, so these are the most greenish guy in the group. And can you guess why we are taking out accidentally? Why we took out the green guys first? Well, accidentally it was because it was the lowest score when you compare, so we made sure that at least we got the group. But after some time I realized that these people, they don't mind standing here being looked at, you know. They find it perfectly okay. But the rest of the people have some kind of decency around this kind of thing and a bit some kind of humbleness, and that kind of qualities you don't find here at all. So that's why it's okay to take the green guys out first, you know. So then my friends, I will do an exercise now. I'm not sure that the others will make it, but you are not allowed to help. Okay? I know you are very helpful and you see things very easily, and yeah, you see very easily how it should be done. But please do not help them. Okay? You remember you were at school, you had the XY diagram? Yeah? Now you have a red-blue diagram.
Okay.
So your scores in red-blue, shall we use that? And this is 0 here, increasing blue there, increasing red there.
Okay. I'm not very good at math.
Okay, so can each of you position yourself in the room and tell me as a group when you are finished?
Yes. Okay. Blue here, red there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, blue there. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so you there.
This is the blue and the reds are different mindsets in the head. The red are more social oriented, the blue are very much, they could almost ask, like this one, I'm finding their position and defining everything around. And
You're ready there.
and then there's always some people who likes to take the lead, and Francois definitely feels to be a host, so he's helping people. And that's what happens sometimes when you get a chaotic situation. Some people take the control, yeah, and he thinks he knows the system, yeah, and he does, yeah. But you see the red people, as long as they find each other, they are happy. They're standing together and talking, basically, yeah. So there's always lots of noise there.
Very blue. 32. What is blue? 41. Yeah, I'm there.
So sometimes the blue people are just saying, well, I am blue, I'm sure, so I'm just standing on the blue line, and they forget that this is a two-dimensional exercise, so then they're standing on one line there. And the red very often sometimes just group together, and as long as they are grouped together, they are happy enough. Yeah. And then there are some people who have similar scores, 28, 28 for example. I know they were standing in the middle, but I'm not sure whether I'm standing here or there. And then when I asked the group, are you happy, are you standing correct? Then the idea about, do I know that the other person have the same kind of mental mindset for how to solve the problem? And if you don't have good communication in between people, you will see people that, well, I don't know whether they understand, I'm standing correct, but I'm not sure about the others. And that is an illustration of teamwork. Teamwork needs a shared mental model to solve this kind of problem around it. And it's also an illustration that people have different kind of mindsets working there.
So we are 10 and
Are you standing correct?
Yeah,
We need to see it on
Yeah, you need some more time, yeah.
here's good because here's the accents. So 4010 is here.
So we have a pack here.
You have a pack there?
Yes, we have a pack here.
So you're standing on the same kind of...
We are in the same place.
And this guy with us because he's between. You're closer to us now. Do you want to come to our group?
This is a red question. She's a red So, whenever we do this kind of thing, sometimes we don't have people like Francois who takes control. He was basically guiding people, and if you don't get some people who takes control, people don't have the same kind of ideas for how to solve the kind of problem. Sometimes the blue people, they're just finding, they know there are 41 in blue, so they're standing far away. And they're standing on this line as indicated that they had 0 red, because they go down about reds, you know, standing one line. And the red people, they do like what, well, if you want to stay together with us, just come together. And then they have a good time here, and talking lots of noise, etc. And then there are some people in the middle, they're not sure whether they should be together with the talkative people or standing on the line or whatever. And it illustrates what I call the shared mental models. If you shall work together in a process with lean, for example, if you shall work together with another person, you need to know that she thinks the same way as you concerning the role and acts, what they're going to do. If not, you cannot trust them. So this is one way of illustrating that people have different kind of ideas about how to solve this kind of problem, and in order to work together you need to have a shared understanding around here. So this is the way we use, especially for teamwork and alignment in organization. If you have 200 people, you cannot do it that way. So then we just ask people who are major on blue go in that direction, or if you take out the green one, say take blue minus red and then put on one line, etc. Or just those who are highest on blue there and gradually less blue, highest on red, highest on green, and gradually, and then you see that the blue line is longer, and you ask the blue line, well, could you please, as a blue guy, go to the red because we need more red people. And if you do that very politely, saying, well, you are probably able to do that, then they say, yes, of course I can do that. I can swap to the other and stand there and be together. And then you have roughly the same. In this kind of exercise, I can do like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You are the most reddish and you are the most bluish from a sociological point of view. Great. It might be that you are not blue, but it might be that you are red, but in this kind of group you belong to the more bluish guys. So, and we have empirically documented whether people who accidentally are putting in a group like this, will they do the work? Yeah, they do the work, but I feel that I don't belong there. But I do the work, I get into it. And what we want to do now is to learn about what is red, brown, green. We need to explore that kind of thing. So I will put up a list there, 3 flip charts. The 4 of you are baptized red, 5 of you baptized blue, and the 4 of you are baptized green. And the task you are asked to do is to write what are the great qualities about ourselves on page 1. To the blue people, what are the systematic behavior that the blue people have different from the other people when working together in group processes? So the others understand the question easily. And when you have done that on one paper, you can switch to the second and third paper, and then you can write whatever you would like about the others. Okay, so go up and take one of those flip charts and start working on this kind of thing. Yeah.
So first of all, ourselves green, and then on the second part, what we think of the reds and the blues.
Yeah. And then first split them 2. So you write about red, and then you write about the blue. Yeah. So we made a projector work at the end.
Yeah.
British qualities. Yes.
Is the most blue?
Yes.
People focus.
Open to new ideas.
Humanisticus.
Objective.
Sometimes caring too much.
Too empathic.
What do we think
But it has to be
characterizes the group?
Have you lost that person?
Sorry? We seem to have lost someone now.
This is very typical for green people, you know. It's very difficult to keep the group together in the Greens. Yeah.
But we are dominant green.
In interaction with others.
That's the second part.
No.
No. What are the great qualities of
qualities
people
in
around color?
interaction with others? It's not
Yeah.
great qualities.
But it's comparatively. So, for example, if you say that, what did you say about the
It should
green?
be in the blue. What would you say? I can tell.
Okay, so what would you say then?
Sometimes certainty. I want certainty. I want to be certain. I want to be sure. I want to be safe.
Yes.
This is correct. I have to say this is correct. you are on the spot. You are really grasped it. Yeah.
The color of alliance.
By the way,
Yes, it's blue. It's a insurance company. I want to be safe.
Safe and reliable. Okay? Safe and reliable, you know. This is the blue color. Yeah, that's good. You have come to the right group, I see. Yeah. This is the group I always like to be together with, but I sometimes have to support the others too because there's so little energy in the other kind of group, you know. So they, yeah. But yeah.
big picture.
Good. That's good. That's you are really capturing the essence. Yeah.
As opposed to detail, though.
Yeah, as opposed to detail.
Slash,
Yeah.
brackets. We're not really into the nitty gritty of stuff.
Yeah.
Detail, okay.
Imagine difficult slash creative though.
Well, I tend to always find an excuse and say, oh, maybe he had a bad day or something.
Red and the green.
So I couldn't tick the blue one, and I wasn't sure that I was going to put the 6 into the other one, so...
We have so many qualities, it's impossible to list them all. What shall we do next?
I sometimes find it very funny that very often the blue they have this kind of bullet points markers.
Yeah, and green.
If you look upon the green red, I don't do such kind of thing, you know. So it makes the image that we are more systematic by this kind of thing.
An Excel table here.
Yeah, sometimes. And I sometimes joke with them and say, well, you don't need to prioritize, so it's okay.
Why do we see the red and the green?
That helps me too.
Yeah, it shows your house is like
Seeing interactions between things, you know, it's not just in a linear way. It's okay if we change this. What happens here? What's the knock-on effect? What's the spin-off effect? See constants from the red.
Subjective, not objective.
It's what I'm blue, so I want to know really what is it.
You want to have a green? Let me see where I can make. I have one extra. You made it? Yeah.
I'm completely blue. Yeah, emotional, yes. Emotional.
Subjective reasons, so she's still breaking down cause effect. It's not more holistic.
I think a way I should do to the left
Interaction with others. I'm not sure if you will see the opposite. So if we take yes, next page.
You give it up?
Theory. They like theory.
Pedagogically, I know that the green people are not so very good at following instructions, but I would like to have the one page on each, because pedagogically it's more easy in my next stage.
Some facilitators are not clear, aren't they?
So
And the red is only about people.
I know that the blue people are very keen that they're not using too much paper. But my intention was that you should use on two different. But we can solve the problem practically by doing like this. You know, you can. If I rip it up like this one, then we can split it like this. So and then we can flip like this, you know. Yeah. So it's,
Green.
this is a green way of doing it. That's right.
Not blue.
Others or yourself?
Jerry Gaston.
Challenging yourself or others?
Protective, I guess I would say. No, caring. C-A-R.
Care, like to care.
Yes, to care.
Caring. And how you...
I-N-G. Yes.
We are perfect. Look, we are. Yes, you're perfect. But I totally agree, you're perfect. But the other groups, they are writing on the others. You know, very often the red group forget that there are others too. But you have to. Yeah, you're going to write about blue. Yeah.
We write about blue now?
Yeah. Because the others are already
So what
finished.
do we like about the blue?
No, I know that was a very question that is normal for red people, but just describe them.
Okay, just describe the blue.
Yeah, just describe them.
That was the word I was looking for.
Empathy. Yeah.
You gave the adjective, and I don't know how to write the adjective, so I wrote that.
The leader are mostly white. The great leader. Like they're mostly green or blue. Of course.
Great leader.
I think they're blue, but I don't. But
We want facts.
We will talk about more about that later.
We
So
want
you know,
statistics and facts.
Yeah.
Say one word.
yeah.
percentage.
You're only writing about good things.
Yes. But we are kind.
We need to.
Yeah. Why?
Well, they are not objective, not pragmatic.
Yeah, it's subjective.
Yeah, not objective,
Well,
different from subjective.
Yeah. So this is a very typical blue perspective. When I talk about the others, they are not
Yes,
something that we are. We are, but they are not.
They are dreaming here.
Yeah. So that's dreamers. Yeah. Have you only been writing good things about the? Yeah.
Great
This is when you're working with people who work very much cross-culturally, they take it for granted that all these kind of exercises shall be about writing only about good things about the others. But the question is not that. The question is how can you describe the others, which gives you an opportunity to write.
Our opinion.
Yeah, you can say the truth. This is a learning exercise, you know. So it's possible to say, for example. I invited the blue people to say about the others. They are not pragmatic. Blue people said. The others are not pragmatic.
Blue people say the others are not. Okay.
Yeah. And that's probably right. Yeah. But it's also nice to see how they use their own reference point to say that, well, when I want to describe the others, I describe them as something they are not. Yeah. We are, but they are not. So it's a funny way of telling stories about the others. So if we Norwegians, we are friendly, the others are not friendly. So when I describe the Italians, I tell them they are not friendly. That's a
fact as we and details in fact.
You're only writing good qualities?
Only.
Yeah. Do you think the other groups are also doing the same? Only
We hope so.
you hope so, and just keep on doing it.
We are optimistic, that's what we do.
That's
Always look at what's good in people.
Yeah, you always say what's good to people. You know, if there's very often in a red group, if there is a person coming up with, well, they're blue, they're narrow-minded. Oh, you can't write that. That's the first comments among the red people. And then in the blue group, they say, well, maybe we can ask the facilitator if you can write that. That's a typical blue response. And if the ideas comes up in the green, they say, well, just put it down.
I asked my husband to do the test because I did it, and I said, I already know your color, and he's of course blue, and I'm red. And it's good that he's blue because if not, we would never pay our taxes on time.
Yeah. So you have learned to appreciate the blue qualities. Yeah. I'm sure.
It's a balance. Exactly, it's a balance.
I normally say that the red people are the best sex partners. Yes, because they are so much more interested. What do the other prefer? Yes, they are relatively sensitive to others, you know, and very often green and blue people love people who are sensitive to them. So that then you find a perfect balance around it. It's a complementary.
They would say they're more egoistic.
The blue.
Introvert? Okay, introvert. Is that personality? Speak for others.
Usually people is organized structure.
You don't tell us, so we teach it ourselves.
They are usually
Who said we?
Yeah, narrow focus. We very often call it narrow-minded. But you may not agree, but from an outside perspective, there's no difference between narrow focus and narrow-minded. But to say narrow-minded is one way of...
I was saying short-minded.
You say short-minded? I'm going to tell the red people that you are almost finished, so that speed up, because it takes a long time with the red people. So the others is getting close to finish. So can you write about the green? So
You said several times.
The red are more supportive.
Our group, this team member does not agree.
Let's do a process.
it depends. Sometimes they organize well, software, all this, but not maybe top leaders. Maybe they are in the most support and making the good leaders. Behind it.
I feel like there is many type of leader. There is the coach. So they say, okay, go for it, and you're good. And there is the leader who say, okay, we're going to do that, and if you're not good enough, you're not in my team. So I think more this type of leader, the last one, and the red one are more coach, like, okay, that's not bad, and you can improve. You can improve, but we are more, no, you're not good enough. So we more lead like, okay, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna win.
But leader is someone have to lead, someone have to follow. Follow more.
That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, just
So you think that the blue people are a good right hand?
yeah. I mean,
The person who can assist.
more kingmaker.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I. Myself, I don't like so much improve, but I know I can support someone very well. I can make good person, good host. So that's I feel myself. That's why.
So my office manager, he is an economist, extremely blue, introverted, sensitive guy, and I'm an extreme green, extroverted, change-oriented. And we have been living together for 17 years, and we now give seminars together to illustrate the need of having both. So, and we tell stories from our life, how pissed off, frustrated I've been with him, and he the same way. And we also conclude, and it doesn't help. I'm still frustrated. Every week or so, we get some kind of frustrations going there. After 17 years, and he's my brother too. So, and that's why we haven't sacked each other, because since we belong to the same family, we cannot kick them.
In the same environment. You grew up in the same environment.
We grew up in the same, but we are living apart. So, and that's the only reason why we can survive. We said that Björn is 2 hours drive away in daily life here, but we are complementary the way you're talking about it, and I'm pretty sure that we will never ever be where we are without having been able to live together across this country. I'll just make sure you are finished, aren't you? Yeah. So I'm going to tell the red people that I need to finish too.
Yes.
I asked them to speed up, but it doesn't help, you know.
I have a
So you are finished? Yeah. Crazy. You are finished too? Yeah. Okay. Be standing with your flip chart.
Okay.
And then we need. I promise you to learn something about yourself, about the others, and what the others think of you. And what you have been writing on the flip chart is an entrance to that kind of learning. But before going to learning about exercise, could you describe the atmosphere of the work climate while you were working?
Well, so we got immediately into contact, exchanged names again, and went to the board. You grabbed.
Can you describe the work climate in your?
Yes, like this group, we change the name to know more. And after she takes the lead and stick all idea in the paper.
So we have been processing well.
Yeah.
On time. As usual. And after working in the green group, I saw that you missed that person at the beginning, and that's really normal on the green. It's difficult to keep the group together, but we managed after some time.
Then we misfollowed the instructions. You corrected us. But I see you haven't corrected that. And we sorted out a page for.
I solved the problem along the way, and I said that, well, you solved the problem in a green way, I think. You see that the blue guys, they are putting up some kind of.
Yeah.
And this is, this is one of the reasons why this kind of discrimination, you might say, we are discriminating, making group categories, so easily are being adopted. Sometimes you see on the paper in which group has been making that kind of, not only in content but in form, and bullet points on the blue as well, those kind of things. And the lack of structure sometimes is something happening on the green. If you look upon your first page there, you see a relatively typically red,
inside the boxes, etc. And I remember one of the green groups that was so extremely, they didn't produce anything on the flip chart at all in 12 minutes, and I started to get a bit anxious about this kind of thing, and they said, well, you need to produce that. Well, take it easy, Björn, we'll solve that problem, they said. And then in 2 minutes there have been everyone writing on small notes, post-it notes, and then suddenly everybody was going with their, and no one hits the flip chart. Everyone was just putting it on the walls outside the flip chart. So the flip chart was hanging on the wall and everything was around, and that done in 2 minutes. And I said, what's happening here? You know, this is just to illustrate that we are out of the box people. So we cannot produce inside the box. And that did that in 2 minutes because everyone was working at the same time. Everyone was working with the post-it notes, and this is a different kind of mindset. And when you see people For example, in the blue group, systematically working, the red people spend lots of time talking, the green people, sometimes they distribute the pens among everybody, so everybody can write whatever they would like, and the whole kind of thing. Then you realize that this seems to emerge in practice. You see the differences, and when you're turning around and then you see, okay, this must be true. And it also tells me something about what is red, blue, and green is about. It's about how we are different when we are working together. So it's not a question of personality, even though we have been studying that. It's the major idea. We say that red, blue, and green is about preferences for how people like to treat information when they're working together in groups. And that's why it's so easy to see it when we do this kind of exercise, right? Yeah. Okay, so before this was an added exercise to you, added information because you are consultants, so you need to get more information than other people, but I normally don't say it. When I run it fast in 60 minutes, say, well, what blue have you been writing about yourself? Can you tell something what you have been writing about yourself?
We say organized, structure, target-oriented, pragmatism, results, reliable, control, I think most of the opposite of the red. Motivator, yeah, honesty too. Like we're directness, straightforward, because we like to say, okay, that's the fact, and you're not good enough, or you're good, and we don't take detour to say that. We are straightforward, and quality too. Risk mitigated. We don't like to take. We like to take risks, but only control one.
Yeah.
And only.
That's why we are in an insurance company today.
These are all the words you normally see when you try to recruit decent people, you know? Yeah. This is what we want like to have, yeah. Reliable people, absolutely.
Safe.
Yeah.
Safe too.
Are you interested in what the others have been writing about you?
Yes. Of course, for sure.
Okay, so what have you been writing about? Yeah, we have to talk. This is
So please. You're structured, logical. What's that? Sorry. Organized, reliable. You're planners, practical, grounded, pragmatic, sequential. This is so following step by step, a clear plan. Fact, figures, and details oriented. And don't let the emotions rule the decisions. So really, this is what basically this risk mitigation. So, and finally, sorry, followers.
Is this a good quality?
All of them are good qualities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, of course. Okay, what have you been writing about the blue now? About the blue? Yeah, I know that you would like to present yourself, but yeah.
Yes.
I like the handwriting.
Can you say that? Can you express it to us, please?
Okay, because I did all the writing.
So in fact, in the beginning, we saw the typical good qualities of the blues: pragmatic, logical, structured. And then we had someone said we were not able to follow the instructions, but we had new instructions. So we were able to give a wider picture of what we thought deep inside. So we discovered that all this nice structure had some drawbacks in some cases, such as a lack of flexibility. Maybe, for me, I said too close to the ground, but it led to a narrow focus or minded. Maybe in some cases,
I like the maybe in some cases.
Yeah, but I think more seriously,
yes,
That's true.
you are like this.
Yes.
And in some cases, the Greens will be impatient because it turns to this, but it's the same part of the personality. So we saw you as very focused on facts, figures, and details. Okay. We have something else for the reds on this topic also. And
access.
Yeah, you're very analytical, so what about the big picture? Well,
This is interesting how you said how they're perceived by you. I never thought of thinking how we perceive the others.
That's right.
I would the same thing. Sometimes the perception is more important than we are that, we know that, but the main thing is how we perceive and how we can change this perception, because even if we're a pragmatic, logical structure in our mind, if the people see us narrow focused, averse to new ideas, so we can work together, because it's hard to work with somebody narrow focused and minded. So we need to change this perception, and
So everything is, sometimes everything is just in our head.
Yeah.
And
we don't.
Yeah, and sometimes it's out there. So what you said, out there is here. This is, and this is how we sometimes can see them if we. Yeah.
Why
So
is it difficult to work with with people that are different than us? It's because of this, not because of all the qualities.
Yeah. There is in the last number of Academy Management Journal, there's a description of interaction between blue and green people. Blue sensitive people and green argumentative. Well, they're not described green, but they are described as being, if you are very argumentative, dominant, and quarrelsome, then the blue people are a bit hurt by that kind of attitude and find it difficult. And then I've been looking for the performance evaluation in between such kind of people. And I say that the result of the performance evaluation, when you get a blue sensitive person together with an argumentative, quarrelsome, I don't say that you are, but if you have got an argumentative, extroverted, quarrelsome guy, then the performance evaluation is based 50% on the other, 25% on my view of the other, and then 35% on the interaction. Basically illustrate what you are saying here, that what people see and how the situation evolves is very important for the evaluation of people around you. And this way of the why I put an effort on saying, well, you just don't write the good things. Try to be realistic and pushing people. Of course, sometimes you need to have groups to discuss this kind of preconceptions, presumptions, stereotypes around it. So for example, working in the Middle East, to work about how open can I talk about these kind of ideas, and can I share it with you and revise it, or am I just acting politely correct and just writing about the good things? So based upon what we are doing, if we are working with to reduce wrong assumptions, preconceptions, we are working on training people to talk about this kind of thing, then we would like people to act politically incorrect now. Okay? We want people to act politically incorrect, writing things about the other, and then with anxiety share it, but then seeing that, oh, they've been doing the same, they see. So the other group have been doing the same too. So you basically see that that it's so easy to get in a group with similars, creating good image about yourself and so about the others, and that stirs up what they call the social dynamics of the groups around it, and it tells something about how labels, categories emerge in a group process around it. So that's part of this kind of learning. That's why I'm putting on and gave them some kind of extra instructions saying, well, you are politely just writing good things. And normally green people, they don't give a damn, but since we are in this kind of seminar, these kind of people here, they are not normal green guys. Yes. They are politely green guys who are well educated and know how to behave. So, but in a normal work situation, you see this comes out much more easily, this kind of negative assumption about the other. And that brings everybody into a situation where they can share this kind of thing and laugh together about it, because they know that this is a consequence of the social process around him. Okay, now we are more in trying to understand where blue and green are differences. Are you happy with what's been written about you?
Happy?
Yeah.
Happy?
Not really.
Yeah. Maybe that was not the right word to ask the blue people whether you are happy or not, but okay. Okay, but you feel not to be insulted at least. Okay. Now, so let's go further on. Give an applause to the blue people for being out first, yeah? And then Red, would you mind describing yourself?
Answer yourself.
So we are a bit more humanistic, and we have empathy. We enjoy life and people. We are optimistic, creative, dynamic, enthusiastic. We are inclusive, open-minded. We try new things.
Adventurous.
We are adventurous. We like challenges, and we are idealistic.
Yeah. That's a great group quality, yeah? Enjoyable being together with you.
Sometimes you do something?
Sorry?
Sometimes you do something?
It's a blue to say that.
Okay, what have you been writing about? So.
About inclusive.
We like people to feel comfortable and to be part of the group. We like them to feel good about it.
Yeah, okay, so let's see what agreed I've been writing about Red.
Timeless.
People-oriented rather than task-oriented. They like to develop relationships with others. Emotionally, they are emotional and enthusiastic. Consensual, collaborative. They are empathetic. Time wasters.
This was the new instructions.
Now we see a change.
They like to beat about the bush.
Tourner autour du pot.
Yes. Yes.
They like focus and direction.
No, they don't like.
What?
They like.
Like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I said they are
They don't like facts and figures, but arguments, they argument emotionally.
Yeah,
Remember
that's
the
basically
rules,
what
well, two who are stuck with their facts and figures, put the red, forget them completely. We are totally balanced.
Do you have facts to confirm?
How to shame.
No, but Bjorn's going to give you them later.
You can give them later. Yeah. Okay, so what are you writing about, Red? Thank you.
We said about the red ones. People-oriented, emotional, subjective, relationship-oriented, caring about others, group-oriented in groups, feeling and emotions, impulsive and instinctive, less, we said, not rational.
Yeah.
Let's kind, coaching posture, more caring about others, growing others. That's it.
It's funny how you crossed carrying.
Carrying, no, because we
Because
spent.
I misspelled it.
Okay, because it would also be to carry the group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, true.
It's both.
That's it.
Are you happy with the result, my red friends?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though. Yeah.
I agree with the negatives too.
No, I
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not
I'm very
negative.
hard on myself with this
Necessarily.
time wasting and
Yeah.
not being focused enough.
No.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think that was a very honest, kind communication to you, wasn't it? Thank you very much. We give an applause to the red people and the green people who are the balanced group. They say this is the first time I've heard about the green guys. So it must be a unique group of green people here. Yeah.
So we are open to new ideas, quite flexible, adaptable, imaginative, creative. We like the big picture, we like understanding the context and also the details. We like setting high goals to follow high standards, and we have quite a systemic view, a holistic view.
Wow.
Great.
Great.
Silence.
Be silence.
Yeah. So humbleness, was that mentioned?
Give us the instructions. The other two.
You can see a big word, height, big. It's a very
Always the
Yeah.
superlative.
we have the best.
That is the toned down version.
That's the tone down the version. Okay, let's see what the others been writing. Yeah, yeah.
The way to say thinking people, creative, artistic, curious, theoretical, conceptual, which means non-pragmatic. Dreamers, innovative, open-minded, intuition, visionary, and change-oriented.
You agree on that?
For most of them, yeah.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Great, great. And what have you been writing here?
So big picture, unconventional, out of the box, solution oriented, enthusiastic, ambitious, creative, crazy in a positive sense, because we are positive.
Because we are positive.
We don't want to hurt people, and we see it also as a positive. To get
What
some
would
good
the
ideas.
blues written? Crazy in a bad way.
Crazy in a man way. Crazy in a...
Crazy, they would say.
Yeah. So you see, out of the box ideas is very often put about the... And what do you think about the blue? They think about themselves being inside the box?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Inside the tiny boxes.
It's a kind of, and then the red, we say about the red people, they ask, what box are you talking about? Because they, through that kind of question, illustrate that they're not concerned about boxes. What the hell is that? Yeah. So this is one of the differences we see sometimes in this kind of group, which is also make a bit fun. It's okay. The fourth stage is, what have you learned from this kind of exercise? From the moment you are coming here, curiously listening to what's going to happen with this kind of psychologist and Francois bring together, filling in a questionnaire that doesn't get any kind of answer that is meaningful, have to do the work yourself, and then even get second instructions and then you're being pushed in talking about both and yes sides about both yourself and others around here. What can we learn from this kind of exercise? Can you sit down at your chair and talk with your neighbor and share that kind of, and then we'll pull down that together. What do you learn from this kind of exercise?
Can we share in different colors or same color?
No, sit down by your chairs and then if you have an opportunity, talk with a person with another color, but I think you are relatively mixed the way you're sitting. Well, you are the two green guys, but you had another, and you...
No, that's fine.
Yeah, so find another so you don't share. So ask yourself, what can we learn from this kind of exercise? So
You're all red.
you were all red.
No, you are not red.
You are not. Yeah. So try to find a neighbor that is not the same color. Yeah, and then yeah. Yeah. So what can we learn from this kind of exercise? Yeah.
Okay, then.
Yes.
And you were red now. It wasn't extreme. So I was the more red.
Les inconvénients.
D'accord.
How do you describe it?
pour les autres, mais
let's say, and probably this is bring this together.
Oui, pour mettre en fait moins de...
Just help understand it and understand the other person. And the other person ideally need to understand yourself, understand as
Quand tu partages l'espace en fait, je suis pas des affinités avec ce
Okay. I know that you haven't finished talking, but we summarize together, and then we get a different kind of perspectives from everybody together. So, what did you hear that your neighbor was saying that was interesting? What did you hear that you thought was a learning points that was important to state that was important to take out of this kind of exercise? Okay, so.
It's a lot about perception, especially
about
if you talk about the other piece, the other person.
Yeah. So beauty is in the eye of the beholder, we say, and others' problems too is partly something in our, yeah. So what more did we learn?
Because we work as a group, it was less accurate because we have to find compromise. Even in the same group, we're all green or blue or red, but we're not the same type of person. So we have to find compromise, and it wasn't really maybe less accurate for ourselves.
Yeah.
As a person.
Yeah. Because you made compromise, yeah? Yeah. So what is summarized is basically a summary of what a group can agree upon. Yeah. And it doesn't really represent myself in all kind of direction. Yeah. And that is also how language evolves in organization. We talk about things that are important for us. We talk about things that's important to do something with, and that we all can agree upon to talk about. So in one way it shows the social agreement around everything that becomes a focus people put an effort on. So it illustrates the social process around here. And that's all part of the reason why we are doing it. Showing that language, ideas about others, ourselves, is a socially constructed process in all kind of organization around here. Okay, what more kind of learning can we take out?
I think it's human nature that we prefer working with people that see the world the way we do. But with this exercise, we see that even if people are very different, if you understand why, you can see how they can complement what you lack, so that there's a team has everything. For example, a company and a team cannot work only with people that think like in a blue or in a green or in a red way. And if you are conscious of the different qualities that each group has, with a red point of view, then if you see it as a quality, then you can all work together and you have the best of everything. You have the planners who bring the project to the top, you have the creative ideas, you have the people that link everything. So if you see it in a different way, that's how you have a good team or a good company.
So basically, social psychology shows that it's easy for people to work and feel okay together with people that are like themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So what we are doing with this exercise, make people who are different being likable, because we see that I need you and you need me. Yeah. So this is a complementary quality, and that very easily emerge out of this kind of exercise. That you only see that I have only 1/3 of the truth. I have only 1/3 of what is needed. And when you know that you only belong to 1/3, then most people would like to add on with the others. So and the others see that you see too. So you get some kind of shared understanding that the others appreciate the quality of yourself. And this is some of the what I call the team models understanding that emerge out of this kind of seminar, and that's why it's very often used as a tool for triggering people's motivation to work in teams, based upon the idea that you shall work with people who have different kind of qualities of yourself. Yeah. Okay. What more can you learn?
But on the other hand, you trust in your quality with this exercise.
Yeah.
So that can be good.
Yeah. So you trust yourself. And in a positive way, and you see that the others trust themselves in a positive way too, and that is needed to be respected when you're working together. So diversity management is not about everything being alike, but having the different qualities being highlighted and utilized in a positive way.
And recognized.
And recognized, yeah. So recognition, acknowledgement is some of the words we are using. But you need to trust yourself, as the others need to trust themselves. And then we can trust ourselves together. Yeah. What more can we learn from this exercise?
The same behavior was being described radically differently, depending on whether you were in the group, or in the colour, or outside the colour.
Yeah. In, out group, and described in a different ways. And it's this is theoretically been described very well in what we call in attribution theory, saying that, well, seeing things from the outside is very different from seeing things from inside. And very often you are blaming the other for failure. And we men especially are clever at blaming the others. Women are not that clever at blaming others, so they take the blame very often themselves. So there are big gender differences there. But it illustrates that labeling and description and in-group and out-groups are something that you see happening in the room. And so when you want to if you want to work on such kind of issue, you can use that kind of experience to dive into that kind of issue. Yeah. And of course, from cross-cultural area, this is the area where you use this kind of entrance to understand social dynamics and language. Yeah. So it's a way of entering into that kind of work there. Yeah. What more can we learn?
Go ahead.
I thought it was interesting that on the test, it shows that all of us are everything. We're all, we were then put into a box, the blue box, but, we all have red, we all have green. So there are, sometimes if we can learn how to, relate to the others in that way.
Yeah.
Please note that this is a blue label people who say that.
Yes, because they are decent, precise. Yeah? So we have two different kind of buttons that we are giving to people, and that illustrates something of this kind of thing. One is this one. This is a yang yin symbol, but with 3 color, and shows the complementarity and the need of each other, and also that you are defined by each other. like yang yin. You are defined by each other. So we call it this is one. The other one is to illustrate what we are talking about now. At distance, you can see my color. Is that right?
Yeah.
But you can't read it. No. So at distance, you see easily that I'm green. But when you get me closer to know, then you can gradually read.
Get really close.
But I'm also blue.
Okay, I see. Oh.
So it's written in small text, but also blue and red. Okay? So it illustrates the process that you get a first impression, which is called the first stereotyping labeling, and then you get the other person better to know, and then you get more advanced. And when you get them really to know, then you really emerge as a person.
Yes.
And it illustrates the process from the first image to a revision. It also illustrates that I made a point that even blue people can be red sometimes. Okay? So they are not that rigid. Blue people are able to go into different kind of roles and act in different kind of roles around it. And it tells something about the flexibility, which is in contrast with the Jung typology that thinks that you are either or, which is not right. People are not either or. People have all these kind of qualities. And I was working with a Japanese anthropologist, and she said that that's probably why you can approach a Chinese person. You know nothing about China, but you know that he's blue. If you know he's blue, you know how to approach. So the idea that everybody has everything makes it possible for me to use my secondary role to be able to work with the blue people. Okay? So, and part of the mastery and easiness of this kind of concept is that you can easily be able to relate to, but also relate together with others, because the categories are not so unique, so different, so complex that you don't understand them. You have some qualities in yourself and all, and that makes it possible to empathically and mastery act in a different kind of role sometimes. And if I say to Francois, well, forget your blue head now, take on your green ideas, then he will just smile. Of course I can. So what we see that people very easily take on that kind of language and give each other feedback. And it seems to be some kind of acknowledgement in the feedback. Well, I know that you are blue, but could you be a bit green now? You acknowledge the blue, but you also acknowledge the flexibility that is hidden in this kind of button like this one. Yeah. Okay, what more can you learn? Except you are very precisely coming up and summarizing things.
I like the sharing and the debate we have about the word we choose for either color, because I did, and I think we all did a lot of these tests, and at the end we have the result. Okay, you're this type of thing or this type, and you don't have the word to say. No, I'm not really that type of person, but it's already written, so you don't have the word. And in this exercise, you have your word to say, okay, I'm more like this, and even if we compromise, I think it was a good exercise to share and make me think about other qualities or other drawbacks I have, and I didn't think about that first.
Yeah. So it's possible to talk about these labels and talk about me being a bit different and different kind of things. Yeah, yeah. So the talking about categories and being individual among this kind of thing. Very often when people are filling in a questionnaire, they think that they will get some kind of new kind of learning for who am I. Okay. So this looks like a psychological test, but if you shall describe yourself as an individual in a credible way, you shall use big 5 models or more advanced thing around. So red, blue and green is not a fully description of individuals. It's a description of the social interaction that happens between people. The way, if people look upon the social interaction, they see that there are some type of communicative behavior that is more facts-oriented and logic and rational, etc. That's with the blue. There's some communication that is more emotional, relationship caring, that's red. And there's some communication that seems to be more big picture, good ideas, etc. And that we call green. So about 85% of ideas for social interaction can be grouped roughly in red, blue, and green. And if you ask in organization, should leaders work with the inner qualities? Should I work with communication, etc.? At least this is a place where it's more easy to work. And we will later today work about the inner qualities of people to see how we can talk about and think about the inner qualities of leader that is more aligned with also what we see in communicative patterns around here. And that's the project that Francois and I are doing together. We are trying to link the relationship between these kind of patterns here with the inner qualities of people, not described as a personality thing, but from a value-oriented system around, for reference points from centers in the body. And that's a different way of approaching individuals around here. Did you have fun?
Yes.
What does humor do with people? That's also important learning. What does humor do with people?
Get color. We get color when we laugh with somebody.
Yeah. What more? What more?
We get to know each other better.
Get to know each other, people get more open. What more? Lose defense mechanism. Yeah. Open up creativity. Yeah.
Also learn something.
You want to be together with people that you can laugh together with. I've been asking people, would you rather be together tomorrow with a person you can laugh together with or a person you're not laughing together with? I never ever heard anyone who wants to be there. So it's something that the humor that we have experienced here now, laughing about ourselves, not laughing negatively about others, but laughing about ourselves collectively, creates an atmosphere of openness, creativity, increased quality of creativity, commitment, positivity, etc. Very much of the atmosphere that we know makes it more easy for people to blossom and voice. Okay. So that's why we say that the humor point of view is also part of the game-changing component in cross-cultural training, because it's very rarely that you have the same kind of systematic use of humor in cross-cultural training, because it's so serious. You are punching into social justice and discrimination and history of power, etc., and that makes it a bit difficult to make people laugh together. So one of my tragic experiences was my first time in in Los Angeles, and we were presenting this kind of concept in academy management, and then I had gender and diversity people. 40 gender and diversity people in the room. And I talked about the humor of having this kind of seminar. And there was no one smiling. Absolutely no one smiling. And I didn't get any kind of contact with the people there. And I thought I did a very good presentation together with a professor from IMDs. We did it together as a show. And there was no person came to me after and said, well, Björn, what you said there was quite interesting. It was different. I disagree. No one came to me and asked anything. No one was smiling. And then I realized that gender and diversity issue in America, that's a serious business. Okay? And this is something that I've been working on for about 8-9 years, how to approach this kind of serious business, which is serious business. From race and gender, it's a serious business for them. But how to approach it with this kind of tool. And one of the things that we have been doing is that we have been changing the name. So in the US it's called Trialogue.
Yeah.
Trialogue.
Like the first page. The first page of your PowerPoint.
Yeah, so it's you talk about monologue, you talk about dialogue, and then you talk about trialogue. And trialogue is one way of increasing the complexity. To play with three persons, having observers, looking upon the systemic interaction. And I think we need that kind of knowledge to grow. We need a more systemic understanding, not only people clever understanding each other, which we do in the dialogue. So that's why we are using it. The last sentence I say before we are taking a break, that illustrates it's all about perception. And I tell it also because you talked about the difference between your red and blue husbands. I had a husband, he came to me 3 months after a seminar, I said that to you. You know, my wife, she stopped being a problem when I understood she was green. Yeah?
It's true. Like,
Yeah.
it really improved our communication.
Yeah.
When I see him, when I say something and he looks at me like this, I say, okay, how can I say it in a more bluish way?
Yeah.
And it works.
And it works, yeah. It's because it's, you don't intend to change the person, but you're just looking for other ways of saying things.
You have tools to adapt the way you speak and to have more communication.
Yeah. And that's also what people report when you are doing evaluation afterwards in organization. It increased the easiness of talking both upon tasks and how to solve the problem, what are the red and green perspectives, but also how to approach the other and make it more at ease to say things. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. I didn't understand. You know, I'm blue, so you know, with my green eyes, I don't see this kind of thing. I'm sorry for that. So it creates an easiness for talking. So we are doing research for the time being with in the Middle East, where we are documenting that it increases what you call voice, the practice of speaking up, giving suggestions for improvement and putting up our ideas in organization. And it seems that this kind of exercise can be documented to increase voice, which is especially important in if you are in a French European culture and want to approach the rest of the world. We need to train the rest of the world to voice, okay? And not accept that you shall not speak up. Democracy is only valid if people are free to speak up. Yeah, and these are one of the values that we, after incidents in Paris and Oslo and other places, we need to stand on. Yeah, okay, and then we are back again to the societal use of this kind of tool. But now I've done my exercise and the time is there for break. Was it okay?
Yeah. Let's take a 15 minutes break.
Yeah, 15 minutes break, and you can take on the material as you want here. If you want, and I have not brought enough French team developmental manuals. But no, those of you who have these team manuals there can take them. So you can take one of each, except this one. This I only just 2 examples of, because I was not allowed to have more than 10 kilos here. Yeah.
Maybe we can speak about the lunch. Do you have any advice about lunch? We are 14 here.
There's no lunch.
14.
We are 14 people.
To reserve? Yeah. Where can we go for lunch? The Chinese restaurant?
Yes, a Chinese restaurant is perfect.
Is everyone okay with the Chinese restaurant?
So there are.
I think it's quite fast.
There are.
Yes.
On our homepage, there are 5-6 cases for the use in the cross-cultural context around it.
Oh, great.
And of course, most of it is used for creating common ground and creating a shared language. And the major difference is that very much of the mapping is based upon mapping historical thing backwards, making people understand people's background. But what we are doing here is we are creating a common ground here and now that could be used in the future. So it's a much more future positivistic oriented, establishing a shared language instead of going backwards. And in the Middle East they say that, well, then we don't talk about the elephant. And then I said, well, we talk about the elephant after when trust has been established. And when we have shared some kind of experience together, then we can talk about the difficult things. But if you start talking about the elephant, then we will just replicate the conflicts very early on before lunch. So,
You didn't answer my question about the leader. What color they are?
Yeah, what color? Come on, I'll show you. Come on, I'll show you. And this is the closest and most sincere answer I can give you. So let me see.
I think for me, leaders are one of the.
So this is a concept that is relatively close in this thinking, and it's based upon 21,000 leaders, and it's a Korn Ferry study, and they've been assessing leaders, and they have a discrimination of people whether they are very task-oriented, intellectual oriented, participant and social oriented. And the participant and social is of course red, intellectual is green, and the task is the blue one in these kind of categories. And what I say here, that if they've been following these 20,000 people in their job afterwards, and they've been analyzing degree of salaries define that success. This is American, you know, this is more money, the more success, yeah? So it says that on the first level, the blue quality is the most successful. First level, that is a foreman, supervisor.
Okay.
At the manager level, the next hierarchy, there is no difference between these kind of types. When you go to director and vice president and executive, then you go higher up in the organization, then you see a growing shift, saying that the blue, if you think that the task orientation is the blue one, it's to be very detail oriented, analytical, tedious, sequential oriented. It doesn't work the higher up you get in the organization. And then you need much more of what you call social interaction, flexibility, being able to meet people, motivate people. Yeah, but you need to also be able to be capable of managing lots of ideas and lots of information at the same time, and survive with lots of people and lots of information at the same time, which very often the blue people find very stressful if they have to spend 60 hours talking with people in different kind of settings, going unpredictable into kind of meeting, etc. And this is so if you're truly asking what is the most successful qualities,
More green and red.
based upon the level in the organization.
Yeah.
So based upon, and that's a question of what kind of leadership role are you talking about? Is the leadership role an organizing, coordinating, or is that representative, interaction oriented, but total, the full picture?